week, Wednesday. Here's what Mayor Brian Bowman said.
There are elements of this protest that continue to be unlawful while disrupting the lives of the general public, including restricted access to public streets, noise, and harassment. I want Winnipeggers to know we're hearing loud and clear from you, and what we're hearing is that Winnipeggers want the laws to be enforced. This is certainly different from any other protest that I've seen during my time in office. We've seen temporary disruptions in public spaces in the past, but what's unique in this case is the multi-day occupation of public streets and the noise that is coming with it.
Yesterday, Bowman put forward a motion asking the police and province to consider doing more about the nuisance created by the protest. Councillors then met to discuss the motion and propose some amendments. Now, one of those amendments, which helped shape the final motion, was put forward by Charleswood Tuxedo Westwood Councillor Kevin Klein. Good morning, Councillor Klein.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. What does the final motion, which was adopted by Council, do?
Well, the final motion directs, with the help of other councillors, directs the CAO to look at increasing fines for specific bylaws. But ultimately, it directs the CAO to look at applying for an immediate court injunction to address the noise and disruption that's happening to residents and businesses in the area.
And what would an injunction do?
Well, the injunction, I believe, will give the police more authority to act swiftly and efficiently to remove the barriers that have been placed on the streets and to stop the horns immediately. A court injunction has more weight than a noise bylaw, and that's the reason for doing this. I understand and I respect the right to have your issues with the government. But this is creating even more division, and I wish everyone would just see the division that it's creating. It's not the fault of the businesses or the people that live in Winnipeg, especially downtown, or have to drive in that area. It's not their fault. We have restrictions. So why take it out on them? And I think this motion actually gets something done. The original motion by the mayor was great. It was a good step forward. But there were some issues with it, and a lot of councillors, rightfully so, had some issues with the legalities. But I agreed with the mayor and said, but let's get something done, and a court injunction will allow police to act immediately.
How quickly could an injunction be put in place?
I'm not familiar with that, Marcy. I'm not sure how long it takes in court. I have, over my years, I've seen emergency injunctions put in place, but I'm going to have to rely on our CAO and city legal department, who I understand will look into it right away, and I'm going to stay on top of that.
How quickly do you hope it's put in place?
Tomorrow.
How's the protest affecting public services? And you can elaborate on your hope that this will happen quickly.
Well, I hope it happens quickly tomorrow because we're hearing of other protesters that will show up in the area to protest the protesters. But that's going to create even more division, and that could lead to some violence, and I don't want to see that at all. And I know that they're planning more things at the legislature, so I'd like to see it happen quickly. And I'm sorry, I missed your second question.
Well, I wanted to just dig into sort of why you're hoping this will happen quickly, which you answered. How is the protest affecting public services, Councillor Klein?
Well, that's a great question. And during our meeting yesterday, we had the opportunity to ask the CAO questions. I was a little disappointed they didn't have the answer, but if you go down there at times, you will see up to 6 police units with 2 officers per unit. That's all overtime. That's a lot of overtime. I believe that it's costing the city hundreds of thousands of dollars in overtime for police. Our resources are already stretched thin, so I believe it puts more pressure on our officers. I know that the CAO did say that we're paying more attention to snow clearing and sidewalk clearing and have extra attention paid, especially in and around the ledge because of the protest, and to make sure that there's as many risks mitigated with snow piles and such for crosswalks. So I believe this is putting a lot of pressure on our public servants. I think it puts a lot of pressure on police. And I think that all of that is geared towards the wrong group of people. right? These are, you shouldn't be taking it out on the police or the residents. It's the government, and I get it.
How do you think how the police have been responding to the situation so far? What's your assessment of that?
That's a great question. And you know, when I sit back and I have to view it from kind of a 30,000-foot level, we're not aware of all the incidents that may be recorded. They're not made public, but I'm not hearing anything from residents that are on the ground, that are voicing their right to protest, of police interference, of police violence, bullying by police. From what I understand, there's a line of communication that is a very good line of communication between police and the organizers, where they're trying to work together to ensure this doesn't go to a place where nobody wants it to go. So I would say I would have to commend that. We wanted the police to be, you know, we wanted the police to have a different approach. We've all talked about that. And I think they're really taking an approach here saying, look, we don't want to escalate the situation. We agree you have a right to protest, but we also have to protect the rights and freedoms of the people that live and work in the area.
What should area residents and businesses do in the meantime? Before you talked about the injunction, it's going to take some time. We're kind of in the meantime zone here. What are you hearing from the residents and businesses, and what's your advice to them before something can be improved in the situation?
Well, my advice would be, we took action yesterday at council. I was very proud that there was a unanimous support for the concept of applying for an immediate injunction. We have to trust that the city CAO and our legal department will act quickly to get an emergency injunction, and I give you my word that I will continue to follow up with them and see how progress is being made. And I would also say that let's not create more division. I would say that to the protesters. Let's stop dividing our community. You have a right to protest. If you want to get up on the ledge grounds and stay there for 3 months, great. But we can't be interrupting the lives of our residents. So I would say to them and to the businesses, I believe help is on the way with our motion. The motion that was put forward for the court injunction, I did that because I've heard from residents they want something done.
Councillor Klein, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, and please make sure everyone drives safe. Remind them. It's such a scary day out there.
Yeah, it's a little bit nuts on the roadways for sure. Thank you for being on CBC. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate the invite. Have a great day.